Hello again. Right, the first title fight that we're going to show you tonight takes us back to the 6th of March this year. And a good man to start with, in fact, Chris Eubank. Of course, he'll be fighting Nigel Benn for that WBO World Middleweight title up at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham next month. But to earn that title shot, Chris had to prove himself at international level. So Barry Hearn lined him up against the Argentinian Hugo Corti for the WBC International Middleweight Championship. Now that's the championship for boxers ranked 11 to 30 in the world. Corti is in white, Eubank in red. The distance, 12 rounds. We pick it up at the start of round 5. Now, the story of the first 4 rounds was that Eubank really dominated the Argentinian, scoring well, and at any rate on my card, winning all 4 of the previous rounds. He'd wanted to unload that big right hand of his, but he'd never quite had the opportunity. A frustrating opponent, the Argentinian. You saw Eubank slip there, no count of course, but he was unable to really nail Corti in the way that he would have liked. This was Eubank's 21st fight, and as we know, he's developed now one of the longest unbeaten runs in British boxing. Gary Mason, the reigning heavyweight champion, is currently 34 not out, but Chris Eubank ever improving. Now, we've seen most of Eubank's recent fights live on ProBox, and I guess ProBox viewers have got as good an idea as anyone as to how he's going to fare against Nigel Benn in Birmingham next month. The one thing that we've never seen is Eubank's subjected to pressure. We've never actually seen anybody test his chin yet, and if anybody's going to do that, of course, it's going to be Nigel Benn. And that was the first right hand that he'd really managed to tag the Argentinian with, and Corti knew he'd been hit. Of course, in order to hit Chris Eubank, Benn's going to have to catch him. Because we've already had a glimpse in this round. That's not the easiest of tasks. Coming up then for the end of round 5. Eubank returning to his corner man, Darky Smith. Into round 6. And Eubank, as he has been throughout, well in control, but still unable to nail his opponent. Interesting man, Chris Eubank. He had his first 5 fights over in America in Atlantic City. Turned pro, had his first fight on the 3rd of October 1985 against certain Tim Brown, a 4-rounder in Atlantic City. Won on points. And then accounted for Kenny Kaneda, Mike Bragwell, Eric Holland, and James Canty in a 1.5-year period. Then he came back to England, had his first fight over here, the day after Valentine's Day in 1988. Stopped Darren Parker in a round. Well, that swinging right of Corti's an example of what I mean about Eubank sometimes being just a little bit too easy to tag. And well, we know that Ben can bang a bit, don't we? And that's one of the fascinating prospects about this world title fight, just a few weeks away now. Whether Eubank can actually take a punch. We know he can dish it out, and now so does Hugo Corti. That was the first time. Compulsory 8 count. And it was a shame really for Eubank that it happened near the tail end of the round. The Argentinian hanging on for dear life. And now taking an awful lot of stick. And just getting through that round. Round 7. And Eubank clearly intent on finishing the job quickly now. But as befits a native of Argentina, the country that produced, for my money, one of the outstanding middleweight champions in Carlos Monzon of recent years, Corti a tough customer. And Eubank, having started quickly, another question mark that sometimes hangs over his performance in the ring surfaced, the fact that he's not and is most lethal sometimes, finishing a man off. Now, Ben is. Eubank started in a flurry this 7th round. Corti came through the storm. And Eubank, perhaps surprisingly, backed off a little bit. Now, that's not to say that Eubank still isn't looking for the big finish, but we've seen on Pro Box before, he'll have a man in trouble sometimes. Just back off a little bit. And if he tries that against Ben, he could pay for it. Might get caught a glimpse of Steve Davis at ringside there. Probably very glad he took up snooker as a sport and not this one. The right has Corti in trouble again. Once again, Eubank leaving it just a little bit late in the round. The eye cut. Eubank, a little bit prematurely, at that stage might have thought he'd won. In fact, had it been just an ordinary, say, domesticate roundup, I think the ref might have stopped it, but this being a world title fight of sorts. Well, it was allowed to continue. Well, I know there's Eubank there having a strictly illegal little wash and brush down while that eye inspection was taking place. And a sign of frustration as the Brighton man returned to his corner. So then, round 8, and as it turned out, the end for Hugo Corti was near. Do you hear Eubank trying to kid the ref? That's it, mate. This time, it was it. Barry Hearn, delighted. Eubank, a WBC international middleweight champion of the world. Now, he went on to successfully defend against Eduardo Contreras, a points win over 12 rounds in Brighton, and now finds himself on the brink of that WBO World Middleweight Championship. So, away from Chris Eubank, but not away from the York Hall. In just a moment, we'll be back at the York Hall in Bethnal Green for another title fight.